Today I'm looking at this GSX S 125. It's my own bike. The chain has got to the end of the adjustment, so I'm going to replace it. It's got to the end of the adjustment and it's slack, so I really need to do it. So basically what I'm going to do is take off this gear selector right here, get that off there, take this cover off, and then I'm going to loosen the bolts for the chain, the nuts, for the sprockets, both front and back. You'll see it better when I get to it. And then I'll have to split the chain to take it off. I got it from eBay. It's a lot. I don't know what the cost from Suzuki would be, but I wasn't very impressed with how quickly it ran out. This chain has a link that I can put in, and I don't have one on the existing one. It's a complete chain. So what I'm going to have to do is grind out one of these links, grind the end off, and use a tool that can push it through. I left a mark on this shaft so that I'd know exactly where to put this back on, so it's in the same place when I put it back on. This is the scratch mark that I put on the shaft. Could use paint, but paint could come off, so I just scratched a line on it so I'll know exactly where to put it. You can remove the cover next, and when you've done that, you'll be able to get to the two bolts that are inside, holding the front sprocket on. They need to be loosened. I managed to do this myself sitting on the seat. I put my foot on the rear brake and held it to stop this turning, and just undid those with the ratchet. This just rotates. You can see where it was, where the bolt holes are. Just rotate it until this lines up with the splines, and it should come right off. I can pick it off with this screwdriver. I'm going to use both hands though. I'm going to take this chain cover off. Got the 10mm bolt head there and there. And at the back, in between here, there's a plastic clamp or a fitting. I'm using just something to poke it with there. I'm going to push that center bit through. Push it right down like that. It's not come all the way through, but it's enough that it's dropped. Now I can take that out with a screwdriver. You probably wouldn't even need to take it out. You could probably just lift the plastic trim and it would come up with it. Like that. See if you're taking it out. Now I can get to this bolt. I might just do one at a time. That's a 12, and I can undo it already. Same as before. I'm going to just put my foot on the brake and crack that off with a ratchet. It's them all loose. I could only get to one, but that's okay. I could have done the bottom one as well, but I just did the top one at a time, and I held the bike here and pulled it towards me so that I could rotate the back wheel. It was just balancing on the side stand and the front wheel. And I just rotated it, got this in place. The same again, holding the foot brake for the rear brake, and undid that nut and lowered it. You know, I did them all one at a time. Well, I undid the nut with it on the ground. I just raised it enough to turn this, so that I could get the next one in line and then put it back down. Worked my way through them all, they're all loose. Now I'm going to have to split this chain because it won't come out of there. I'm going to use this. I've never used it before. The first thing it says is grind. If it's got this O-ring chain, you have to grind off this mushroomed end where the rivets go through it. So I've got a grind. I don't have a proper grinder. I'm going to try it with this and a drill. And then I can use the tool to push the rivets out, or the pins out, I think it's called. There's a little grinding. I've got rid of the mushrooms. And I'm going to try and push it out. So I kind of got it set up, as you can see. I've taken up all the gap, wound the pin that's in here all the way in. Now I'm going to screw it through. Should push it out the other side. That's done it. There's the old bit that was in the motorbike and the chain. I actually ground two off. You know, I was thinking like when you get the new link and it kind of goes in with two. But I didn't need to do that. There's one of the O-rings from the old bit. It's an old O-ring chain, but it just didn't last. So I don't need to take two out. Okay, that's fine. So now what we're going to do is take this right off. We are obviously going to need to take this bolt out. So I'm going to have to jack up the back of the bike so this is off the ground. And I can wheel this out and put it back in with a new chain. That's because I'm changing the sprocket as well. I'm not just changing the chain. New sprocket's supposed to be stronger. The front one's easy enough. That'll just pull out this way at the front here once I take the chain off. So I'm going to start by taking the chain off and just pull it out, and that's the chain out, and the sprocket can just pull off. It should be coming. I might need both hands for this. So that's the wheel out. This bolt obviously went through the centre of it. I put a piece of wood over the end after the nut was off so I could hit against the wood and not directly onto these threads. It's a good idea to put the nut on a little bit as well. That's out. This is the bit that comes out of here. It just slides out of the brakes there. So here's the damper that's on the back wheel. Takes up the shock a little bit when you're pulling away. So that's that. I've just got to undo these, change the plates, got a new one here, and I'll cut the chain. I'm gonna make this chain, maybe it might be smaller than the last one, because the last one was almost about here on the adjustment when I got it, so I only had a little bit of adjustment. You know, instead of all that, I could have took a link out, but I wouldn't have been able to join it together without one of these splines like that. So that's why I didn't do that. Plus the speed it's wearing out, everything. I just wanted to put a new one in. You can see the front one's worn as well, the shape of it. It's kind of like a C shape, you know, like a wave that's breaking. So it's worn out. I was just going to change it and not just take a link out. Now I've got the new chain next to the old chain, and you can see that the links are actually fatter, they're wider, like this piece of metal right there, and the outer one are wider than the ones on the old chain, the original chain. And this is the one that came with the bike when it was new. So hopefully that means it's going to last a bit longer, it's a bit stronger. But if you look at the links, I've got them lined up, and eventually they come out of sync with each other. See down here, they're starting to get out of sync. They're just, it's obviously the chain's stretched a bit. It's either the playing the rivets or something playing the pins. Something's made it so it's a bit longer than before. You know how the chain stretched. That was the whole point of us running out of adjustment. But when I got it, I mean, this bolt wasn't at this end when I got it. It was almost all the way at the end of the travel, so I didn't have much to adjust it with. So at least this time I should maybe get more than the 3,000 miles I got last time, because now I can adjust it a bit more. That's the chain wrapped all the way around onto here. I've got that little bit left over that I'm going to grind that off and take that out. But this is by no way how you would check the chain with the wheel in the air, but it's just to show you that I've got loads and loads of slack still. That one just moved a bit, but there's plenty of slack there for me to take that link out and put the joining link in that you get in a little bag with washers. So I've got enough to do that. I've still got enough. I'm just going to hold the chain, see how slack it is. So that's not going to change much when I lower it down. So I'm going to grind this out. Then I can push the pin through with the removal tool and then join it, and that's it done. Just adjust it up and put the mud guard or the inner mud guard on, and the case, connect at the electric connector there. Put the gear linkage back on, and I marked it so it'll be in the same place that it came off. So I'm nearly done. It's getting there. Just gotta grind this one off. Not there, because then it would still have that bit on. So I need to go to there, because that's the way the pin would go through those two. There it is. So if that was in the right place. So that goes there, like that. It's not wanting to sit there now like it did before. Okay, so I get rid of this gold colored bit, and that one would go in there, but from that way. I'll do it from the back to the front. Okay, that's it ready. The one pin out is the old bit, just the one pin removed. It pulls out. That's it off. Gonna fit the new stuff. I have a small bag of grease that comes with it to grease this. Then you put two of the red rings onto here and slide it in from the back. I'll just grease it with two hands though. As it greased and O-rings are on, I gotta try and get that in there. Again, it might be easier with two hands. That was it. I just rotated the wheel a bit whilst trying to feed it in with both hands. It was dead easy then. Now I put two more of these red rings on, these O-rings on here. So it's an O-ring chain. These are designed to help keep the grease in. Put these O-rings on to the chain. Slide them all the way on. Like so, and then take one of these. Same both ways, so that'll just go on there. Like that. And then this goes on. Okay. That will go the direction of rotation, so the wheel goes this way. Okay. So that's the way that needs to go, with that facing, like the nose of it facing that way and the split end facing the back. So that's just to go on, and again I'll try and do that with two hands as well. That's it on. There's the split end at the back and the curvy end at the front, facing the way the bike's gonna go. You know, the wheel's gonna be spun that way to make you go forward. So that's it done. Now I just got the trims to put on. This one is tightened. I haven't tightened the front yet because I had to connect the chain. I couldn't tighten that until the chain was on. So now I'm going to put the brake on, same as before, and tighten those two up. And Then it's just a case of build it up and loop the chain, adjust the chain as normal. I was just looking at this cover, and right here we have a sensor, a Hall effect sensor. If I turn that over, you see it has three, oh you can't see it. Oh, a minute. Three. It's got 3 pins. 5-volt supply, a ground, and the signal. Hall effect, and where it lines up when we put it up here is right against this bit. The bit that we didn't use because the gear's gone further back. It's using that as the engine RPM pickup. So there's the crank sensor right there. So slightly different than a car, but it's good. It's using what it's already got. That lines up right next to that gear there. So I found that interesting anyway. Don't know whether you will, but thought I would point it out. Now we're going to grease the chain from the inside of the chain outwards. So this stuff is wax, but it's the same sort of idea. So we just spray it up from the inside. It really is like wax, eh? Let's spray that up too, that was starting to stick. The lever wasn't coming all the way back when I was taking the side stand back. It was sticking slightly down enough so that this switch here, the safety switch that you see behind it, wasn't all the way in. And as soon as I was putting it into drive or putting it into gear, it would stall out, it would just stop the engine. That's all it was. It wasn't quite going high enough on that lever. There's that pin that we put in before, that joining one. Obviously we don't want grease on the tyre because we don't want to fall off. So we are going to have to wipe down the tyre. Make sure there's no grease at all on it. Don't want to be banking it down, even a little bite like this, you don't want to slip off it.